Malinaw ang naging direktiba ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa kanyang ikatlong State of the Nation address kamakailan. Ipinagbawal na ng Pangulo ang operasyon ng offshore gaming sa bansa na lalong kilala sa tawag na Pogo. Ngunit paano nga ba nagsimula? Paano naging legal at kalaunay naging notorious ang mga Pogo sa Pilipinas? Sino ang dapat managot sa problemang ito? Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Ito po ang sentro ng ating kwentuhan sa inyong paboritong tambayan online. Ako po si Tenten Tugaf at ito ang Teka Muna. Kasama po natin sa ating kwentuhan na ito ang ating masipag na tagapagsalita ng Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission. Wala pong iba kundi si Dr. Winston Casio. Magandang araw po sa inyo.
Magandang araw, Tenten, at magandang araw sa iyong mga tagapanood.
Opo, natutulog pa po ba kayo?
Opo naman. 3 hours to 5 hours.
Kasi po, pagka sa umaga, para pong alarm clock ko kayo dahil ako nakakatulog ng bukas yung telebisyon. Magang-maga pa lang, nakikita ko na, naririnig ko na yung boses niyo sa mga balita.
Trabaho po natin na ipagbigay alam kasi sa publiko yung mga programa ng PAOK under the directive of the President and the Executive Secretary. So, the public deserves to know.
Again, let me just thank you, sir, for agreeing to be part of this program, this interview on such a short notice. Kasi po, alam ko, busy-busy kayo.
Wala nga naman po, basta para sa advocacy po ng laban na ito, go po tayo.
I'll cut to the chase, sir. When the President made that order during his third SONA a couple of days ago, were you surprised with the President's orders?
Technically, yes. No. In as much as we had really no inkling as to the policy directive that the President would make in relation to the call of the public in relation to the banning of Pogos. I was expecting siguro gradual phase out sapagkat may panawagan po kasi yung PAGCOR na wag i-ban ito, di ba? Sapagkat mapektuhan yung mga Pilipinos na nagtatrabaho at maging yung mga legal na mga IGLs kung tawagin, Internet Gaming Licensees, the former Pogos, so to speak. So, what we were expecting in PAOK was maybe the President would announce a gradual phase out in keeping with the call of both PAOK and PAGCOR. Bakit yung PAOK? Kasi most of the officers of PAOK are from law enforcement. No? So, they have seen firsthand na kapag sabi mo nga, gagawin ng isang ban, total ban, the immediate recourse of those who would be banned is to go underground. Kaya ang naging panawagan namin is gradual phase out, dahan-dahan. Pero kami nagpapasalamat din sa Presidente sapagkat binigyan niya ng 5 buwan yung PAGCOR para i-wind down yung mga activities ng mga legal IGLs. But then again, Tenten, the real challenge is how do we proceed with going after those who are already underground as of the moment.
The reason why I ask you this, sir, is that itong mga nagdaang araw, ang PAOK was at the forefront of yung intensified campaign natin against Pogos. Alam naman natin, sir, it's also through your office na nagkaroon ng idea ang mga Pilipino, kagaya ko, tungkol dun sa mga atrocities, di ba, yung mga krimen na nangyayari doon mismo sa confines ng mga Pogo hubs. Salamat po sa inyo dahil sa tulong ninyo, naging malawak yung kaalaman ng mga Pilipino sa isyong ito. And I know that because of this, on a very regular basis, you are providing the President with the right information. Siguro po, nagsusubmit din kayo ng report sa kanya, ng mga recommendations ng inyong assessment. Ang tanong ko lang po, yung pagbaban ba ng Pogo was part of your recommendations to the President?
We did not actually make a recommendation to that effect. Ang aming ibinigay lang sa Presidente, we provided him information with regards to crimes associated with or to Pogos. Pinakita po namin yung mga statistics, ano yung mga nangyari over the years, pictures and so on and so forth. Through the Executive Secretary, we provided him all the data that he needed, or we thought he would need, to be able to make the informed decision with regards to the public's call to put an end to the problems associated with POGOs.
Opo. Sa ngayon po, gaya ng sinabi nyo kanina, the President ordered the PAGCOR and siguro yung ibang government agencies involved in this issue to wind down yung operations ng POGO by the end of the year. From where you sit, Dr. Casio, ito ba ay sa tingin nyo doable on the part of the government?
Doable in a sense that if the whole of government approach would be applied against this problem, yeah. What do I mean by that? One, the local government units need to be at the forefront in this fight. Sila po kasi yung tenga at saka mata ng gobyerno dito sa laban na ito. So if the local government units, primarily yung BPLOs, business processing licensing offices, would really go into the different businesses that they have given permits, then they would provide the initial intel. Second, if the Philippine National Police with all of its 167 personnel would really go out into the different communities and apply their intelligence skills against this problem, then well and good. Third is if the National Bureau of Investigation would also apply all their technical skills, so to speak, in this fight, then okay. But more than that, we also need a Department of Labor. We also need the Bureau of Internal Revenue. We also need the Bureau of Immigration. We also need even the mayor's office. Why? All of these four agencies contain within their confines databases. So, ilan yung mga empleyado? For example, ang lagi kong sinasabi, ang isang nakakalimutan natin sa laban na ito, we don't bother to ask how many foreign employees have online offshore gaming employee licenses o GEL. Hindi natatanong yan. Kasi ang lumalabas, pag pupunta ka dun sa mga POGO, nakikita mo 200, 300, 1,000. Pero yung OGEL, 20, 30, 100, 200. So obviously may disparity.
I-cut ko lang po kayo, Dr. Casio, para sa kapakanan po ng ating mga kababayan na nakakatunghay nitong ating pag-uusap na ito. Yung OGEL po, ang counterpart po niyan dito sa local yung GEL. Di ba? Yung mga manggagawa sa mga casino, local na casino, binibigyan sila ng ganyang lisensya. Hindi po
Gaming employee license.
Exactly, sir. Sige po. Ituloy po
So, we need to take a look at how many foreign nationals actually have OGELs. Bakit? Yun ang magiging initial basis mo kung ilan ba talaga ang i-deport mo o ilan talaga yung papaalisin mo. Now, PAGCOR gave us a list na di umano mayroong mga more or less 31,000 Filipinos working there. And about another 30,000 foreign nationals working there. Then, BI said they have given around 20,000 working visas to foreign nationals in relation to POGOs. So parang may disparity ng konti. What about ilan ba yung binigyan ng working visas in relation naman doon sa DOLE? So kinakailangan pagbangga-banggain mo yung databases nito. Nang sa gayon, pag tuluyang ipinasara by December, may kita mo ilan ba talaga yung umalis.
Yun po ang concern ng marami sa ating mga kababayan, Dr. Casio, because in so many instances, lalo na sa mga ginaganap na pagdinig ngayon in both houses of Congress, pag tinatanong po kung gaano ba karami yung foreign workers, di ba? Hindi po magkaroon ng parang definidong datos na ipinagkakaloob sa atin yung mga agencies involved, kagaya ng PAGCOR, ng Bureau of Immigration. And you're correct, sir, in your assessment. Kasi when the time comes, di ba, kailangan well-accounted lahat ng mga taong ito.
Hindi nagtatali, 10-10. Hindi nagtatali. Diyan magsisimula ang problema sa implementation na ito.
Ngayon, kaya ko po na itanong yan, Doc. Kanina, nung bago tayo magsimula, napag-usapan po natin na yung mga taong ito, lahat ng involved dito sa industriyang ito, pag dumating na yung panahon na kailangan na silang umalis, hindi naman po silang lahat will pack their bags and leave the country. Ang tanong ko po, Dr. Casio, paano kung ang iba sa kanila ay mag-underground at ituloy yung mga illegal na gawain na ito? Gaano po kahanda ang PAOK at ang mga aparatos ng pamahalaan to go after them.
If they're foreign nationals, then the red flags will be very glaring. Walang problema yon kung foreign nationals. If you have 10, 20 foreign nationals residing in one apartment that's supposed to be a one-family residency unit, red flag na yon. If you have 20, 30 foreign nationals occupying a condo, red flag na yon. If you've got 100 foreign nationals occupying one office space, red flag na yon. So pag foreign nationals, there are many red flags that we could always look into to pinpoint the problem wherever they are located. But what if, given that we have 31,000 Filipino nationals who have gained the skill set of working in an offshore gaming operations, and what I mean is gain the scamming skill set. What if these Filipino nationals all of a sudden decide to find a financier, or a financier is out there willing to provide the needed capital finance for a similar operation with no need for foreign nationals? That is the real problem.
Tulungan nyo nga po kung kaming unawain. Kagaya ko, siguro yung aking kaalaman dun sa operasyon ng Pogo ay limitado lamang. Sa kapakanan ng ating mga nakikinig at nanonood po ngayon, paano ba nag-ooperate ang isang Pogo?
Ang isang Pogo ay walang pinagkaiba sa BPO, Business Process Outsourcing. Isa lang ang major difference nila. Sa BPO, primarily customer service. Dito sa Pogo, na may mga scamming ang kanilang negosyo. Okay, you've got one unit, ang tanging trabaho is to be able to scour social media to look for potential victims. So, siguro CSR ang mga yan or profilers. Then, second, you've got a group, another unit who does marketing. Then another unit who actually does the scamming activities. Ito yung may mga model, magagandang babae, kuno, magagandang mga lalaki, kuno. Then, yung hard seller, yun na yung talagang mangukumbinsi para makakuha ng pera.
Pero po ito, nag-originate po itong Pogo. Ang ikinikater po nito ay yung sugal.
Yes.
Tama po ba ako?
Tama.
Ibig pong sabihin nito, Dr. Casio, na exclusive lang ba yung Pogo to cater a specific target? Kunwari, in this case, mga Chinese nationals. Ganun po ba ang intent ng operasyon ng industriyang ito?
Tama ho kayo. Kaya po siya tinawag na offshore gaming operations because the players should be foreigners. Not necessarily Chinese, anybody who is a foreigner. Ang gaming platform lamang ang nandito sa Pilipinas.
Exactly.
Pero yung
betting
are abroad.
and the betting.
Yes, yung betting.
Doon po nangyayari
Yes,
overseas.
abroad, overseas. Kaya lang, ang naging problema po neto, noong 2019, medyo nagsimula silang mag-peak. Okay, kumikita na malaki. But something happened in 2020. What happened in 2020? Pandemic. And the pandemic happened during the Lunar New Year. So most of the Chinese workers were caught outside of the country, trapped. They were not able to get inside the country anymore. So karamihan nitong mga pogos na ito, they diversified into scamming to create a new revenue stream. Sapagkat kumukunti na yung kita nila dun sa actual na gaming. Now, nag-normalize na. Bakit hindi nila iniwan yung scamming? For a very simple reason that whatever amount they earn from offshore gaming, you multiply that to as high as times 10 for scamming.
Ngayon, Doc, teka muna po. Gusto kong mas malalim pa nating pag-usapan po yung angulo na yan. Because I've heard the former chair of PAGCOR, si Chair Andrea Domingo, in one Senate hearing, parang ang sinasabi niya doon sa kanilang datos, when this Pogo started several years ago, parang merong 200 na nabigyan ng kapahintulutan. 298. So, ang ibig po ninyong sabihin, sa pag-igog ng panahon, yung iba sa kanila decided na to go underground and pursue yung kanilang mga illegal activities.
No, not
Is that the
necessarily.
case, sir?
The problem is this. Marami yung legal, may papel. Pero sa kabila ng yung papel nila is only for offshore gaming, they also ventured into scamming to be able to earn more. Parang ano yan nakatikim ka na nung matamis. Nasanay ka sa matamis, ayun na. Hindi na nila nabitawan. Kasi nga, sabi ng mga nare-rescue namin, one group, one team of 8 people, sometimes they could earn as high as 10 million, 50 million pesos at any given time. 1 week, 2 days, 3 days. Kung meron kang 50 teams of 8 members at any given time delivering 10 million. So, you could only imagine how much money they're raking in. Nakita naman po ninyo yung record ng lumabas na magkano ba yung pera naglabas-masok doon sa bank accounts ni Mayor Alice Guo? 29 billion, right? So you could only imagine how much money really goes into and gets out of Pogos.
Pero ang tanong ko po, Doc, dito sa usapin po na ito, yung mga pangkaraniwang mga Pilipino ay nagtatanong. Ang tagal na po nito Pero bakit mukhang ngayon lang nagkakaroon ng hugis, nagkakaroon ng anyo, nahuhubaran yung industriya na ito? Saan po ninyo nakikita yung failure? Bakit hindi natin na-monitor ito? And I'm sure there are specific agencies of government in charge of monitoring itong mga ginagawa ng Pogo. But how come ngayon lang? I don't want to put you on the spot, sir. Pero yung
fine.
konting assessment ninyo.
That's fine. The commission will not lie to the public.
Thank you very much, sir.
Part of the problem would have to revert back to the policy of the previous administration vis-a-vis the policy of the current administration. In the previous administration, they had an open door policy to Pogos. Kaya umabot ng 298. Sabi nga ng PAGCOR chairman ngayon, yung 298 na yon, karamihan sa mga papel nun kulang-kulang. So meaning to say, a good number of those 298 should not have been granted licenses in the first place. Right? And personalities operating in those Pogos in the previous administration were actually questionable characters. At nakikita naman natin ngayon. So ngayon, when the new administration came in, and we came on board in PAOK in February 1 of 2023, the chairman of PAOK, Executive Secretary Lucas P. Bersamin, gave us a marching order to go after all forms of scams and online fraud. Bakit? Sinabi ng presidente The president gave directives, we do recall, in 2022, to go after 2 things. 1, agricultural smuggling, because he wanted to protect the food security of the country. Second, he wanted to go after online scammers because all of us, every day, would receive text messages araw-araw ng mga pang-scam. Doon nagsimula. So, it is a presidential directive conveyed to the Executive Secretary. Executive Secretary conveyed to us, the Secretariat, through our Executive Director and Undersecretary General Cruz.
If I may ask, sir, was there a pattern insofar as yung mga krimen na ginagawa nitong mga Pogos? Meron bang pattern, sir, na ito talagang dito lang, money laundering lang, o itong scamming lang? Pare-pareho ba sila, sir, o nagba-vary din? Depende doon sa kanilang operation.
Habang lumalalim yung aming investigasyon, well, sa simula, ang akala namin nung una, human trafficking lang. No? So, nagsimula ito May of 2023, yung ACG natin ng PNP, lumapit sa PAOK, may binigay sa aming intelligence packet na merong mga Indonesian nationals na binubugbog at pinahirapan dito sa San Valley sa Clark. So, trinabaho namin, rescue natin. Unfortunately, yung subject na Indonesian hindi nahanap. Okay. Pagpunta namin doon namin nalaman na itong mga Pogo pala are engaging in human trafficking activities not because they earn something out of it, but because kumikidnap sila ng mga tao, mga galing kung saan man, at pipilitin nilang magtrabaho para sa kanila. So, ang pattern ay nagsimula human trafficking, kidnapping, torture, murder, name it. Then lately, nung malaking mga hubs na inire-raid namin, Bamban, Porac, nabigla kami kasi money laundering na. So hindi namin malaman ngayon kung ano ba yung nauuna. Yung money laundering, proceeds of crime coming from other criminal activities, or POGO. Sino yung predicate crime? Yung scam, yung trafficking, or galing sa iba? Sapagkat ngayon, nakikita na rin namin, may mga personalities coming from formally scandal entering into the picture in relation to POGO. Mga nakikita natin na mga drug traffickers, mga personalities na associated in drug trafficking, nakikita namin sa POGO. So ang tanong ngayon, sino ba yung pumondo dito sa sa issue na ito? Nagsimula ba sa drugs na nilolaunder through POGO, or POGO na nilolaunder through other activities and nagda-diversify into drug trafficking? Nagtahi na po eh.
Nagtahi na, nagdugtong-dugtong na.
So may money laundering, up and below, drug trafficking, and POGO.
According to PAGCOR, sir, at present, and itong present leadership ng PAGCOR is very clever enough to distinguish, di ba? Kasi generic yung POGO dati. Ang alam natin, pag POGO, yung POGO na alam natin as we know it. Pero ngayon, parang lumalabas, ang tawag nila is IGLs. Di ba? And according to PAGCOR, there are 43 IGLs operating. 43 or
42 na lang.
O 42 na lang operating at present. And based from what I've been hearing from PAOK, sir, the past few days, parang sa inyo naman, correct me if I'm wrong, you are monitoring at least 53 or 58,
58
illegal.
minimum.
Opo.
To 402 maximum.
Opo. Pag sinabi nating illegal, sir, paano pala natin i-categorize yung kanilang strength, yung kanilang capacity para maghasik ng krimen sa atin? Ito ba, pwede ba natin siya i-categorize na 10 dito small, 10 dito medium, o lahat sila pare-pareho?
We really don't distinguish between how many labor force they have in one
Yes,
part.
sir.
No. Ang amin lang is, bilang namin, bawat isa kapag may operation ng offshore gaming, online gaming na may halong scamming, problema na yan. We count as one. Ang problema nito, tapatang usapan, 10-10, halos lahat ng mga illegal, nagsimulang legal. So, ulitin ko po, halos lahat ng illegal, nagsimulang legal. So, as far as the Commission is concerned, as far as the law enforcement is concerned, we are very happy that the President made a definite stand to totally ban them, regardless of legal, illegal. But we must not lose the debate in the nomenclature. Hindi porke POGO, IGL, magkaiba. They're one and the same. And, dapat tingnan din po natin yung lahat ng offshore gaming sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa. Di ba? Kasi under the Republic Act that taxed POGOs, IGL, they also granted that law, 11590, granted also the authority to the different export processing zones to open their own gambling facilities that may be offshore. So, kinakailangan magkaroon ng kaliwanagan ang direktiba ng Presidente.
Yung na-monitor niyo ba, sir? I am sure by now, alam na nitong mga POGOs na ito kung yung naging direktiba ng Pangulo. Meron bang movement sa kanila, sir? Sila ba ay huminto? Sila ba ay nagtuloy-tuloy pa rin?
The legal ones are definitely heading the call. They're leaving.
How about yung mga illegal, yung mga nasa underground, sir?
The hard-headed ones are actually preparing to get entrenched. May nakita na kaming movement sa ilang mga lugar kung saan sila nagtatakbo papunta na alam namin walang plano silang umalis ng Pilipinas. So, through a concerted effort of the different agencies of government, kinakailangan po namin sundan ito. Kasi kung hindi namin masundan ito, parang binastos naman nila yung direktiba ng Presidente. We have to respect the directive of the President, and by respecting, we mean the Commission and all our partners in the Bureau of Immigration, Anti-Money Laundering Council, Department of Justice, IACAT, PNP, DILG, all of us together, NBI. we will have to go after them wherever they go. Kahit saan sila magtago.
Alam nyo, Director, I did some research itong mga nakarang araw prior to this interview. Familiar ba kayo, sir, sa mga operasyon ng mga junket sa mga casino? Sa mga informasyon na nakalap ko at sa mga nakausap ko, yung konsepto ng Pogo at konsepto ng junket halos pareho.
Halos.
Meaning, yung junket caters sa mga foreign players.
But they play inland.
Yes, sir. Ganon din yon. Pero, ang punto ko, sir, at this time, na-establish naman na, marami rin naman nagsasabi, na ginagamit din naman yung mga junket doon sa iba-ibang mga aktibidades, kagaya kunwari ng money laundering. I'm not just sure, sir, not sure kung ito ay meron pruweba o meron kayong investigasyon relative to this matter na nadiskubre nyo. But let me proceed, sir. Meron din naman mga atrocities. Ibig sabihin, yung mga manlalaro nila na hindi nakakabayad, ginugulpe, pinapatay, kinikidnap, etc. At ito in the past, nangyari din po yan. Ang tanong ko lang, sir, na yung curiosity ko ay nabuhay because in a number of instances, dun sa mga pagdinig na ginagawa sa Kamara at sa Senado, lumalabas na may mga junket operators din.
Yeah. So, ang pinagkaiba ng Pogo at saka Pigo, Philippine Offshore and Philippine Inland Gaming Operation, is basically that. Offshore, manlalaro, nasa labas. Inland, you bring them in junkets, they can play here. They could be foreigners or what, really doesn't matter. Question, do we see junket operators involved in atrocities as well? Yeah. Tama ka doon. We have a good number of leads pointing to several junket operators who may be involved not only in torture, not only in kidnapping and so on, but may be involved in large-scale money laundering. Right? So, I would not presume to advise the policymakers in relation to gambling as a source of revenue. I could not presume to advise them on that. But if they would allow me, I would simply say we have to just look at this as a policy because they may be more headaches than revenue resource.
Which brings me to my next point, sir. Malinaw naman na in the latest pronouncements made by our economic managers, pinakita naman dito sa mga datos na sinabi nila that according to NEDA, only 0.05% yung contribution ng sa GDP. At sinasabi naman ng Department of Finance na mas matindi yung economic cost kesa dun sa benefit.
Yes.
Again, hindi ko maintindihan, sir. Sa tingin ko naman, alam din naman ito ng mga nagdaang liderato. Pero ang pinagtataka ko lang talaga, sir, sa lahat ng ito, kung wala pala tayong naging benepisyo, bakit natin hinayaan na umabot sa ganitong problema?
I also could not presume to look into their minds as to the reason or the rationale they had in implementing this as a revenue resource. I mean, referring to the Duterte administration. I could not assume to know what was in their minds. But what I could proudly say is the current administration has been enlightened, no? And that's why the Filipino people oath to thank the President BBM, for this policy directive. Bakit? 94.5 billion annual loss for POGO operations. Yes. And that doesn't count the social cost. Let me qualify what I mean by social cost. For PAOK, when we raid POGOs, we also take into custody Filipinas who have been impregnated or who has given birth to children sired by Chinese nationals, Malaysian nationals. We provide their diapers. We provide their milk, infant formula on a weekly basis. We provide for their apartment rentals. Bakit? Kababayan po natin ito eh. So yung mga asawa, wala na, napareport na natin. Yung mga asawa nila nakakulong. Yung ating executive secretary po ay malambot ang puso eh. Pag ang sasabihin namin kay Yusek Gilbert, Sir, meron na naman dito 5 babae, may mga anak, wala nang panggatas. Tatawag lang si Yusek doon sa boss, sasabihin gawa ka lang ng budget request. So, imagine that. That is a social cost that is unquantifiable.
Kung napag-usapan, sir, kasi if I can say my 5 cents worth, parang masyado tayong nabulag eh. Yung mga pangako na ibinigay, na dala-dala nitong nung inintroduce ito, hindi naman na-realize sir. And now, inaani natin yung multo ng ng programang ito. But again, sir, on another note, gusto ko lang malaman yung kaso ni Mayor Alice Go, sir. Sa tingin ng marami, lang ito, panimula lang. Because in the coming days, I know, siguro, baka you're not at liberty to disclose. Sa tingin, sir, ng marami, baka marami pang mga personalidad, mga tao sa gobyerno, mga pinuno ng mga LGUs, ang ma-unmask bilang mga protector, bilang mga cuddlers itong mga pogong ito.
Alam mo, Tenten, ang utos sa amin ng Executive Secretary ito, you follow where the evidence leads you. So, we don't base our operations on personalities. Kaya yung iba sasabihin, tinitira nyo kasi kalaban sa ganito, no? Pag may biktima, humiling ng tulong, dumulog sa komisyon yung pamilya, we would operate. So long as we could be able to apply for a search warrant. So meron kaming probable cause na meron ng problema nangyari doon. Now, if our investigation continues and then unmasks more people, then so be it. We don't take it personal and we will not go after them because they're enemies of the government or whoever. Wala akong ganong polisiya ang gobyerno.
At ngayon lang po pumasok sa kamalayan ng mga Pilipino kagaya ko, yung PAOK. Meron ng PAOK noong araw, natandaan ko, PAOK TF, di ba? Nag-evolve into something. Pero at this point, sir, dun sa lawak ng ginagalawan ninyo, ng mandato ninyo, what are the challenges that you're facing at the moment?
Manpower. We only have 49. Meron pala kami dagdag na 3. 52 na kami ngayon. So, ilan lamang ang pulis na nakadetail sa amin? 3 lang. So, humihingi kami ng tulong sa Armed Forces, humihingi kami ng tulong sa NBI, humihingi kami ng tulong sa PNP. At we thank them for being always there para tulungan kami. But of course, we want better collaboration with them. Sana nga lang po, pag nag-request kami ng assistance sa PNP, NBI, Armed Forces, lagi po silang bukas. Ngayon, okay pa naman. At sana magpatuloy po yun. So, that's first, manpower. Second, the network of POGOs, we have to admit, have penetrated different branches of government. Sad to say, alam namin, nakikita natin na some of our operations are getting leaked. Bakit? Probably because the network of POGOs have seeped into wherever. Di ba? So, that's another challenge. Pangit man pakinggan, we have to be very selective of the people in government that we work with. Kaya nga tinanong kahapon sa Kongreso, bakit kumuha kayo ng tulong doon sa ganitong region, hindi sa ganitong region? For that very particular reason. We wanted to get people who are outside of that area because we would feel better. You'll be able to sleep better kung ang aming katrabaho ay taga malayong lugar kaysa sa lugar kung saan located yung POGO. Ano pa bang ibang challenges? Yan. Yung operation patuloy. Pag naipasara mo, napadeport mo, hindi doon natatapos yung kaso na kailangan magtuloy-tuloy. So nagpapasalamat kami sa AMLAC, Anti-Money Laundering Council, because they are very proactive in forfeiting, in the petitions for civil forfeiture. Bakit? Alam mo, masakit sa mga magpupugo yung fact na pag nag-operate kami, kino-confiscate namin yung kanilang mga properties.
Yung mga iiwanan nila na mga propiedad, mga properties, di ba siguro sa dami din ng mga na-confiscate ninyo, paano mangyayari ho dun sa mga properties na may iwan? Yung mga hubs, ano po ang recommendation ng PAO?
No. First, they have to be finally forfeited. Sa ngayon, they're under...
Pero may proceedings, Doc.
Yes.
There are legal proceedings.
Yes, there are civil forfeiture proceedings before any particular court of appeals primarily. And then once the Court of Appeals finds in favor of the government, once and for all, that property is forfeited on behalf of the government. Then whatever that property is, it would go to the National Treasury. Now, it will be up to the President to decide kung saan niya gagamitin. You already have two major hubs na na-raid po namin. 10.2 hectares and 6.9 hectares. Laki po nun. Meron kaming 2 buildings din na na-forfeit na dito sa Pasay. So, nung kinausap ko yung Anti-Money Laundering Council, yung executive director nila, sabi ko, Attorney at ED, palagay mo, magkano na yung properties na na-forfeit natin under our custody? Sabi niya, Doc, mababa na siguro 30 billion, mataas 60 billion. Properties.
Pumutok na po itong issue na to at alam natin, siguro, alam na rin ng mga kaaway na maituturing natin, itong mga nandito sa industriya ng Pogo, kung ano yung mga ginagawang pagkilos ng pamahalaan. But sa ngayon po, ano ang papel pa ng PAOK relative dito sa mandato na pinagutos ng Pangulo just very recently?
Tuloy-tuloy pa rin po kami sa intelligence gathering. In fact, tomorrow may meeting po kami together with the Department of Justice, the National Bureau of Investigation. May tinitingnan kaming isang malaking operasyon pa ng illegal na Pogo na kinakailangan nating mapasara in the next few days. Kasi yung pambibiktima nila, grabe. No? So, tuloy-tuloy lang po tayo. Kasi nasa listahan natin 58. So kung hindi po lahat yun umalis ng kusa, so up until December, baka 2-3 operations. Karamihan sa Metro Manila, Central Zone, and Calabarzon. Meron din sa Mindanao, meron sa Visayas, marami din po. Kaya we would like to thank SILG Abalos kasi very proactive siya ngayon. Pinupupuntahan niya sa mga PNP, DILG, at saka mga LGU, yung mga lugar kung saan meron kaming binigay ng mga report. Bakit? Meron kami nakita 1010 na 402 possible operations, specific sa location. Makapal po yun, binigay namin kay SILG at sa Senate at saka sa House. They can do it on their own. They can help us to look into these locations kung nandun pa po wala.
Sana kayong matagal pang makakwentuhan. But I know, marami rin kayong ginagawa, Doc. Gusto kong ibigay sa inyo ang pagkakataon. Baka meron kayong gustong i-anunsyo sa ating mga kababayan o sa liderato.
Well, una, we would like to tell the public, wag po silang mangamba na ang inyong komisyon o yung inyong gobyerno ay nagiging selective. Napakinggan po sila ng Pangulo at tumugon po yung Pangulo. At ang Presidente naman po ay hindi po kami binibigyan ng direktiba na ayon sa politika, kundi ayon sa ebidensya. Pangalawa, nananawagan po kami doon sa taong bayan because this fight would only be successful if they would take a part in it. Because they are in the ground. They are our false multipliers, so to speak. They are the ones who know better than we in the national government. So kung meron po silang makita, ipagbigay alam po nila sa aming Facebook page at kami po itutugon. Lalo na ngayon, we will transition into other forms of scamming. Ano pa po ang scamming na nakikita natin? Yung mga scamming na may kinalaman sa online lending application. Sapagkat maraming Pilipinong nabibiktima ng mga peking mga ola. So, I hope on that note, maging katuwang po natin yung sambayan ng Pilipino sa laban na ito.
Sa maigsing panahon po ng aming kwentuhan ng ating panauhin, marami po akong natutunan tungkol sa isyong ito. Sana po kayo rin ay ganun din. Nagbukas po ito ng maraming kaisipan sa atin tungkol sa muka at anyo ng Pogo. Kung paano ito umiikot, kung paano ang operasyon nito, at kung papaano rin nakinabang o hindi nakinabang tayo bilang isang bansa at bilang mga mamamayan. Hindi ko po malis sa isip ko ang isang paksa sa Biblia na aking nabasa kamakailan. Ito po ay masusumpungan natin sa aklat ng Mateo, Kapitulo 4, versikulo 4. In essence, ang sinasabi po nito ay hindi lamang sa tinapay nabubuhay ang tao. Noon pong ipakilala sa atin ang pogo ng nakaraang administrasyon, pinakilala po sa atin ito na parang itong papirasong tinapay na ito ang magpapatid sa gutom na dinaranas ng buong sambayanan. Pero hindi po ito ang nangyari, kundi ang kabaliktaran. Hindi po ako, hindi po si Dr. Casio, at lalong hindi naman po ang 100 milyong Pilipino ang kumita at nakinabang dito. Pero ang perwisyo, ang pasakit na daladala ng industriyang ito ay patuloy nating pinapasan, patuloy nating ipinagdurusa. Sana po naging makabuluhan, maging kapaki-pakinabang ang topic na ito na pinagtuunan natin ng pansin. Kung tuloy-tuloy man po ang ginagawang pagdinig ng ating mga kongresista sa Kamara, ng ating mga senador sa Senado, sana po sa mga darating na araw, matukoy, tugisin, makilala ang mga tao, ang mga individual na dapat nating panagutin sa misery at higit po sa lahat doon sa problema na bumabalot sa ating lahat ngayon na ang puno at dulo ay itong pogo. Ako po si Tenten Tugaf. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikiisa sa aming programa. Isang mapagpalayang gabi po sa inyong lahat.